Freezing cold outside, but we have hot Cubs news.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making us your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen or watch every day. Subscribe on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube, then like the video and comment anything below. Today's episode is presented by our great partners at FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Nico Hoerner told reporters on Saturday at the Cubs convention that he has not started his throwing or hitting program this offseason following surgery in October to his right flexor tendon. When asked about being ready for opening day on March 18th in Japan, Hoerner was at best non-committal, saying that he doesn't have an exact answer on that yet. Sam, we could go through a number of scenarios here, and we're also going to talk about Tanner Scott later in the show. I also have some difficult trivia at the very end. But I think Hoerner's opening day status, if we had to put this in football terms, doubtful.
Which is interesting because when we were at that 9 a.m., what do you call that, panel?
Talk about this. Carter Hawkins.
Jed and Carter. And I actually thought Carter in that panel came out pretty good. He was funny, he was personable, whatever. But he kind of said, like, I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it was a fan question, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And he said, you try and tell Nico Hoerner he's not going to be ready for opening day or something like that. But then we heard this news. Maybe he meant for Arizona, like the true opening day, because even if Hoerner, let's say he's close to being back, you don't rush him back for just 2 games. Albeit obviously regular season games that matter and that are important, but you might as well just get him the rest. So I would lean towards very doubtful, it sounds like, for Japan, but according to what Carter Hawkins said, I think that I would put him as questionable for opening day, because did you interpret that the same way I did, or?
Well, it definitely made the sequence of events very strange. Probably one of the stranger things from Saturday is that, that kid asked Carter Hawkins during the availability. And by the way, 3 challenging questions from the audience, which then caused them to elongate their answers, in my opinion. And they never got to Sam, who was 6th in line. They got to 3 questions.
No, and I stood for about 9 hours.
Yes, and then you had to sit down a few minutes later.
I learned my lesson. Next year, I'll be first.
Yeah, maybe with better shoes. So that was one of the more stranger things, because what Hoerner said completely contrasted his general manager 2 hours earlier.
Yeah.
Or whenever it was.
So the Hoerner thing came after Hawkins?
It did. It came a few hours later. It came in Saturday afternoon. Megan Montemurro was on it, a couple others since. And does that mean Carter Hawkins was playing up the crowd? Was he trying to put on a show? Because he got a few rounds of applause.
He was pretty funny
during that sessions, and some laughs as well,
which was nice to see. Because to be honest with you, when it comes to Cubs stuff, I always just go to Jed. I don't listen a ton. I don't really report a ton from Hawkins. So it was nice to hear him. And I actually, he made me laugh a couple of times. He cited his poor collegiate baseball skills. I found that to be self-deprecating and funny. And
that was funny. Yeah.
It was probably the highlight of what was a long panel.
Hey, this doesn't have to be a long reply, but I was thinking about that on the train ride home Saturday. When Theo was in charge, he didn't turn to Jed a lot. Yeah. Do you think Jed said, hey, when I get the main job, I'm going to let the GM speak a little bit?
You know what? That's a good question.
I wonder.
I feel the same way I did with both guys. Like when Theo was in charge, I just
Okay.
went to Theo. I skipped over Jed, and I do the same with Carter. But it does feel like Carter talks a little bit more than Jed, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think looking at the Hoerner situation here, however long it takes for him to be 100%, fine.
Mm-hmm.
But you have 3 opening days, pretty close contact with each other. March 18th in Japan, okay, 2 games. But then you have March 27th in Arizona, and then they're back in Wrigley Field April 3rd. Maybe he returns April 3rd, so maybe he misses 9 games.
Yeah.
Scenario that would, and this is totally made up, I'm just putting hypotheticals out there. The scenario that I think would really hurt is after those first few games at Wrigley, Sam, they take a second West Coast trip right away.
Yep.
And they don't come back to Wrigley to host the D-backs until April 18th. That's 21 games. Let's say he misses those 21. That's a lot. And if Matt Shaw has the runway to be the third baseman, then why would he play second for 21 games? I
said.
For 2 games in Japan or even 9.
Beautifully said.
But 21's a good percentage.
So let's I'm a glass half full guy. I'm an optimist. I get called that a lot on this show. So let's go that route. What this does do is it kind of forces the Cubs to have to make a move.
Yeah.
Maybe they go get a second baseman. Jed, let me tell you something about Jed. We always talk about how, hey, Jed keeps things close to the vest. One thing he doesn't do is say they need and are going after something and then not do it. So when he says they need bullpen and bench, that's going to happen. They're going to go get somebody if Nico misses that first game or those first 2 games or whatever it is, that to your point, probably should start at second base because Matt Shaw needs to get that, quote, runway over third. So I'm really excited to see what they do. And as we're going to talk about here in a few minutes, I'm actually a little bit encouraged by their offer, which I know is kind of eye rolling to a lot of people. But like I said, I'm just an optimistic guy.
Well, yeah, that's what we always say here on this show, as you said. One of my highlights from the weekend was people that would make comments about our physical features. I always thought that.
Yeah.
I always feel like that's funny.
Well, I had one. Wait,
or that you're the same person in person than you are on the show. It's like,
I don't know what one guy said to me.
One guy told me that he thought I was going to be 6'7". I don't think I told you that.
Well, I don't know where he got that from.
It's a bad take.
If you were 6'7", you wouldn't be doing the show. You'd be catching passes from Kobe White. Do you know what one guy said to me?
No.
He goes, he couldn't find us, and then he looks at me, he goes, man, thank goodness I listen on audio.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, I think it means that I'm,
Oh, he was inferring
that I'm,
he was saying that you're
not
less
appealing.
than handsome.
Yeah. That's a politically correct way to say that.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think he's kidding, but he didn't really laugh.
So all the third base candidates that we brainstormed on this show, they could also all play second as well. Convenient for Hoyer and his crew. Iglesias, Polanco, DeYoung, Moncada, Frazier, Merrifield.
You got me on
Toro.
Iglesias. You really got me on him.
Well,
I watched some tape
he
on
was
him
great
night.
last year for the Metropolitans.
I watched some highlights on him last night.
Former Colonel, Polanco, Illinois State Redbird, DeYoung. Obviously, we talked Moncada before, and then Jesse Rogers, who we met over the weekend, floated Merrifield.
What do you mean, former Colonel?
A Cedar Rapids Colonel. I interned for them 2013.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Moncada. With all due respect, I'd like to not take too much time on Toro.
Right. No, that's called me being thorough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Merrifield, you floated out Merriweather to me over the convention. Was that because you heard it from Rogers?
Yes.
Okay. I wouldn't mind him.
That would be very low cost.
I would expect pretty much all these to be pretty low cost. Maybe Iglesias. Did you say Moncada was projected to get like less than $2 million?
Yeah, 2.5.
Oh my goodness.
Something like that, yeah. So, yeah, those are the options there. The other thing from the Horner session with reporters, Sam, he admitted that towards the end of last year, he could barely even throw.
Well, we talked about that when
Yeah.
when he was turning double plays, he just lobbed it over there.
I mean, literally, that he had to do that apparently.
No, and that's good news because I was starting to get concerned about that, and I'm glad that he's gotten it taken care of, and that'll probably help this ball club.
Well, maybe we could do a Dansby Swanson second or third segment for tomorrow because he all but admitted that people told him to stop playing and he kept playing.
I listen to that.
So I'm torn on that, but
yeah, it's a hard. The injuries and playthrough injuries things is a hard thing to diagnose because on the one hand, the guy's playing, and Dansby even said this. I'm assuming we watched the same thing. I think it was an interview at the convention, but I watched it on Marquee.
So, yeah.
And he's like, hey, I'm playing. So if I'm playing, I need to be judged for I'm playing. But then he also said that, it's really nice to feel like himself again. So I don't know how to judge that. But in Dansby's defense, no pun intended, his defense was so good that I still think him being out there probably was better than the replacement option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could definitely see that as well. All right, something we didn't see is the Cubs making a substantial offer to Tanner Scott. We get into those details right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me recently. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for. Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million canceled subscriptions, saving all members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon to check out Rocket Money today. John Morosi reported Sunday night that before signing with the Dodgers, Tanner Scott was offered 4 years and 66 M's by the Cubs. Northside Baseball first reported Sunday morning that the Cubs offered a substantial multi-year deal to the best relief pitcher on the free agent market, and that offer is a surprise, certainly outside of the comfort zone, completely out of the comfort zone for Jed Hoyer and his crew. Sam, 16.5 AAV for a relief pitcher, but one that they apparently thought was the only one that fit that sort of commitment.
Yeah, and so when I read that, I pretty much then said, all right, I read it exactly like you did. The 4 years thing was just kind of nice to see them get out of their comfort zone like a certain football team did this Martin Luther King Day afternoon.
Yes.
Sorry, you can go ahead. This is your show.
Big move by the Bears.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it. Getting out of your comfort zone's good. But what I looked at, Matt, was just the AAV. So 16.5 tells me that then they have the money then to go get any other reliever now that is available. They need to take their pick and they need to go get them. And hopefully they don't cost. I'm hoping it's going to be about between 12 and 13 M's, maybe even 11 if they can get lucky. And not to go back into a numbers conversation because it does get fatiguing. But if Tom is right and the Cubs do end, let's say they end at 241, 242 M's this year, typically you got to remember, right, at the trade deadline, when you add players, you're prorating that yearly salary. So even if you're adding like a 15, 20 million a year guy, you're only paying for him for August and September. So for the Cubs to add, like, let's say the Cubs end up at 241, they're not going to add 20 million at the deadline. That would be crazy. So I'm starting to be a little bit optimistic that maybe they do get to that 230 number. And if they do that, and they sign one of these guys for, say, $12 million, that puts them right at 210. They still got some money to spend here. And, maybe there's another twist in this offseason. Maybe there is another turn.
I love it.
This is just, I flood with optimism.
Absolutely, because they have the 20 or potentially in this scenario that you're painting 30 M's to really improve their team. We know they plan on doing that, but again, by how much? And so when you talk about those types of numbers, you do start to get excited. There is multiple closer candidates. If not closer, then certainly a high leverage guy, whether it's a Robertson, Yates, Jansen, or Finnegan, Carlos Estevez as well. And maybe they slide in a lesser name as well if they really feel like, okay, let's commit to the bullpen. But when we talk about numbers like that and you follow maybe their line of thinking and trying to take the Central, my biggest question is, do they linger on someone like Jack Flaherty? Do they make a trade for a starter, a reliever, or both? It just seems more clear now. And I know there's doubt amongst the fan base. It's not unfair doubt. But it seems clear that after this weekend, that between now and when pitchers and catchers report on February 9th, that's Super Bowl Sunday, by the way, the roster will not only be different, but they will be better. And the exciting part is maybe they're markedly better too.
And I'll say it as simply as this. If the Cubs start opening day at $230 million, then I will express that sentiment they are a clear favorite, because that would mean a couple real significant additions. Right now, I think it's irresponsible to say they're the clear favorite, considering they finished 10 games behind the Brewers for the incumbent division-winning champs. And I believe the Cubs have probably improved their team by a few wins so far this year, whereas, maybe Milwaukee's lost a few wins, but still, to say they're the clear favorite after finishing 10 games behind because, they shipped away Bellinger, Paredes, and added Tucker, which is great, and not shipped away, but lost Hendricks and added Boyd. I mean, and some bullpen stuff, those are nice additions, but you can't just say, oh, that's going to make up 10 games next year against the Brewers. I think they are the favorite, but clear is a different word. You get to 230, that'll probably do it.
And is there a path to them? Okay, they signed the reliever for the 10 to 12 M's. They signed one of the infielders. And then the Jack Flaherty market right now, Sam, non-existent. They just give them the qualifying offer. Say, hey, here's 21.
Love it.
And then they say, hey, we're not as concerned about that buffer for the July moves because we really like our squad now. And we still have all this minor league talent in case of injury or poor performance or whatever it is.
Love it.
And, why wait till July 18th? Let's roll on March 18th and at least split with the Dodgers, by the way.
I love it.
Well, that's the show. So no, there's more.
No, there's more. Hey, there's a report going around. I don't want to Aram Layton, co-founder, executive editor.
Yes.
At Just BB Media is saying the Cubs have agreed to a minor league deal with Trevor Richards.
Yeah, who has been a major league reliever the last few years.
A lot of relievers on this team.
There's if you include minor league deals with invites to spring, I think it's like 20.
I think they've signed like 64 relievers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's as big as the March Madness bracket.
Not anymore. What are they up to? Like 72?
Oh, well, I think it's 68, right?
Right.
Or is it 72?
No, I don't know. I think it's 68. Because they have that first four.
Hey, doing some research. One more quick note. I was doing some research on another guy that was floated for the Cubs by the Athletic, Tommy Kahnle.
Yeah.
Do you know he threw 35 changeups in a row?
Changeup guy.
Playoffs?
Yeah, changeup guy.
Crazy. All right, coming up next, we have some Trivia Tuesday. Here we go.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $500 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. And speaking of the NFL playoffs, maybe the Bears aren't so far away. Congratulations to the Chicago Bears, George McCaskey, Kevin Warren, Ryan Poles for going out there, getting the guy, the obvious guy, the guy that made sense, doing it with conviction, doing it quickly, going out, spending money to do so. And, who knows how it'll work out, but at least this process for the first time in a long time makes a lot of sense to me. I'm reinvigorated as a Bears fan. It was very nice to see them do that. Beautiful day in Chicago, despite temperatures of negative 84 degrees. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet on the Bears to make the playoffs, a future odd right now. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
All right, we have some trivia here to close out a Tuesday episode. We know Sammy Sosa made the Hall of Fame over the weekend. So did Derek Lee.
Yeah.
Who I really enjoyed watching in my fandom during those years. Couple solid Cubs teams in there as well when he played.
Well, a great one in 08.
Yeah, and people really liked that team. Giovanni Soto got a really good reception this past weekend as well. And so did Reed Johnson was on those teams. So Derek Lee is not only the only Cubs player on record to have this type of year. He's just one of 6 players in baseball history.
Wow.
To do this. Do you first even know the stat pairing that I'm referring to?
No, I don't.
Okay. It's 45 homers and 50 doubles in a single campaign.
Only 5 other men did that?
Yeah. And I was wondering if you want to take a shot at that.
I would love to take a shot. 45 homers, 50 doubles.
Yeah.
Is Alex Rodriguez on that list?
Ooh, no.
Okay.
I guess.
50 doubles is
A-Rod's not on the list, Sam, but I wanted to let you know that there is 1, 2, 3, 4 since 1995, and then 1 from the 1927 campaign.
Babe Ruth?
No.
Lou Gehrig?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Babe Ruth double. Okay, so Lou Gehrig. And then since 1995, I got to think 45 homers, 50 doubles. Did Rafael Palmeiro do it?
No, but you have the correct team.
Brady Anderson?
No.
Texas Rangers, Orioles.
Yeah, Texas Rangers.
I'm thinking of Palmeiro's an Oriole when I said that.
Oh, okay. I can give you some teams soon.
No, let me think. Let me just think.
Okay.
We got time. Let me think. Ranger. Oh, Juan Gonzalez.
Yes.
Oh, man, I forgot about how good the run he had.
Yeah.
All right, so I just don't want to get so many wrong, but I'm thinking Manny Ramirez. I'm thinking Ken Griffey.
Yeah, I mean this is usual suspects for sure.
And none of them are right.
No. The one from 1995.
I don't think Bonds ever hit 50 doubles.
Was a Cleveland Indian. 1990.
Albert Bell?
Wow, yes.
Okay. This is kind of a random group of players.
And then there's one from 01 and one from 04, 2 separate guys.
Okay. 101.
One the Cubs saw a lot.
Albert Pujols.
Perhaps the most feared hitter.
And then so he was he 01?
He was 04.
04. So 01. We think.
01. A lot of home runs being hit, but this gentleman hit shade over 45 with 50 dubs.
Was it Todd Helton?
That's right. Unbelievable, man.
Yeah. I didn't. That was a tough. What a weird.
It was
group.
hard.
So you're telling me the only guys to ever hit 45 homers and 50 doubles are Derek Lee, Todd Helton, Albert Bell, Juan Gonzalez, Albert Pujols, and Lou Gehrig?
That's what I have in front of me. Yeah.
What a great question.
Thank you.
This has been a phenomenal Monday.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I thought you would enjoy that one.
I don't understand how A-Rod didn't do it. I thought he had 50 doubles with that Seattle. He must have not hit 45 homers.
Great first guess by you. Yeah.
Well, not really. Great guesses mean it's correct.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here. Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs.
Show.
You give us 20 to 30 minutes. We'll give you all things Cubs with the laugh or two along the way. I thought that was one of our best shows of all time.
Let's do another show tomorrow about Mark Canha.
Be sure to subscribe. No,
It's a bad take.
Okay.
We can't do another show about Canha.
You're right.
We're going to do it about Seiya DHing.
Oh, great.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and or leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening to this. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.
See ya.